What's going on, y'all? So today I want to talk about the Python spirit. For those of you who've never heard of a Python spirit, I actually wrestled with being under attack by a Python spirit. So to start things off, a Python spirit, let's just think of a python. The nature of a python is a snake. And unlike other snakes, the python, the way that they kill their prey is by wrapping their entire body around the prey and squeezing the life out of the prey. That's how they kill them. They suffocate them by squeezing them to death to the point where they can't breathe, and then they suffocate and then they die. So in the spirit realm, you have the python spirit, and what the python spirit does is it drains the spiritual life out of you. It squeezes you. Here's another thing about the python spirit. Pythons, like real pythons, they gradually squeeze. And they keep squeezing and they just keep tightening until boom, they kill their prey. That's exactly what a python spirit does to our spiritual life. When we open the door to python spirit, it squeezes the life out of you, but it starts like squeezing the spiritual life out of you slowly and gradually. It starts like slowly squeezing, and then if you're not doing anything to try to like fight against it, it's gonna continue squeezing until boom, it squeezed the spiritual life out of you to the point where you don't want anything to do with God. You don't want to listen to God. You don't want to hear anybody talk about God. It's like I'm done with God, basically. I actually wrestled with a python spirit when I was in college. So back in college, I was heartbroken. I was really heartbroken. Something that happened in high school, and I still wasn't over it. And I tried my best to do everything to show the person that I was heartbroken by that whatever people were saying or lies that people were making, it wasn't true. And over time, I became bitter. I became angry. And not only that, I think a part of that was me standing in the gap for that person. God had me stand in the gap for that person, pray for that person. I even fasted for the person. So that they could come to Christ, because they were living, a really crazy lifestyle, partying, drinking, doing all this crazy stuff, that a lot of people do in the world. And they had a strong spirit of rejection on them. So it was really hard for them to receive my love. And over time, it got super frustrating. And, things happened where I became bitter. And, I started cursing God. I just started, I was very angry at God. I felt like, God, you told me to stand in the gap for this person. You told me to pray for this person. I'm witnessing to this person, and all I'm getting is, seemingly hatred in return. And I remember, I never forget, I just was so angry at God. It's like I didn't want anything to do with church. I didn't want anything to do with God. Even though I grew up in a Christian church, even though I went through a phase of reading my Bible and getting strong spiritually, at that point I was like, okay, I'm done with God. I don't want to deal with this. But here's the thing. Thank God for the Holy Spirit, because even with me being angry and my foolishness, the Holy Spirit was still there. But the Holy Spirit was warning me that I'll end up in hell if I keep on carrying on the way I'm carrying on. And I watched so many hell testimony videos back in 2016 when I was 19 years old that I know how serious hell was. And I knew that I didn't want to go there. But God gave me a vision one night. I remember I was on Christmas break from college, and I was at home with my mom, and I was laying down. I was extremely angry about that past relationship that I was heartbroken from. And I'll never forget, God gave me a vision of a python. And he was basically showing me that there's a python spirit that has been attacking me. And that's when I started looking up the nature of a python. And then I also started doing my own research about the python spirit. And I literally felt drained. For those of you who've never actually stood in the gap for somebody, meaning, you know, praying on their behalf because they're just too spiritually blind to be able to do it on their own, or they're just too spiritually oppressed to be able to pray for themselves, or they're too bound to addiction, whatever. When you stand in the gap for somebody, it's like you kind of taking on that spiritual burden because you're strong enough as a Christian to take on that burden that they can't take on, and then eventually they'll get saved. That's what happened. That person ended up getting saved in the long run in the middle of my bitterness. But eventually I got over it. I forgave the person and I got over the situation. And, you know, the python spirit released me. You know, God made that python spirit get off of me. And, like I've been moving forward with my Christian faith, you know? So I just wanted to make this video to bring awareness to the python spirit and, you know, let you guys know like what the characteristics of it is. You don't want a python spirit because it will squeeze the spiritual life out of you to the point where some people even renounce their faith and they may never come back to it, you know? So hope this video blesses you guys, and hope you all have a great day.